Thank you, Marilyn. You know, while I was backstage, it suddenly occurred to me that I'm the only one up here tonight who's actually younger than Sports Illustrated. I mean, that's kind of wild, especially when you consider I'm only 28 and I've already retired from my sport. But I remember growing up in Palmer Park, Maryland, looking forward to each Sportsman of the Year issue and thinking about all the past winners, Muhammad Ali in particular, and I say to myself, I want to be one of those guys. And then in 1981, I became one of those guys. And to have that honor bestowed upon me, it was an incredible feeling. Now, of course, I wouldn't have been the Sportsman if Tommy Hearns hadn't cooperated that year. You see, the Hearns fight wasn't just an ordinary fight. It was a symbolic fight because it meant that I was #1. It meant that I was an overall fighter and athlete. Also, it was like the last chapter in a book because, see, everything in my life had led up to that special moment. But then again, a fighter never seemed to have just one last chapter. As you might remember, I made a comeback attempt last May against Kevin the Spoiler Howard. And he was able to do what no man was able to do before. He knocked me down. And sitting there on the seat of my pants, looking up at the bright lights, I realized then that my career should come to an end. And then people say, well, Sugar Ray, why did you retire? Things just didn't go the way I had planned. You know, I won the fight, quite naturally, but I just didn't have what was always present, my concentration. And then people say, oh, Sugar Ray, you were so crazy in the first place to get back in the ring. Why would you take such a big risk? I would reply, I've been taking risks all my life, so what's the problem with one more time? But I can tell you, standing here tonight, I'm glad I tried it when I was young, because now, when I'm 35 or 45, I don't have to look back and say, what would happen if? People, I know what would happen. You see, now I finally got the old fight bug out of my system, and I'm very pleased and satisfied with my association with HBO. You know, one of the things that I liked about boxing, it was me against the other guy, you know? It was the one-on-one confrontation. Now, there are other sports that stress individual achievement. Let's take a look at them now and meet our next candidate for Sportsman of the Year.
This was the punch that sent Sugar Ray Leonard back into retirement and set the stage for boxing's next super fight between junior middleweight champion Tommy Hearns and undisputed middleweight champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler. In 1984, Hearns and Hagler both destroyed well-known opponents. Hearns knocked out Roberto Duran, the first time Duran had ever finished on the canvas. Later in 1984, Hagler floored Mustafa Hamsho in his best performance since